Welcome to the Dark Ozarks. We are talking about dark storytelling, whether it's the book you read under the covers or a good campfire ghost story. The Dark Ozarks podcast is now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, or about any podcast platform.
So what makes a good noir or dark read, and what goes into writing it?
You mean besides the occasional blood sacrifice?
Well, we can't give away all the secrets up front because, honestly, what fun is that? We will be right back to all the scary stuff in just a moment. First, we want to let you know where you can find us in person in the next few weeks and remind you that you can purchase tickets for all of our in-person events at paranormalsciencelab.com.
This Saturday, November 19th, we have two events. First, in the afternoon, we'll be at Always Buying Books in Joplin, Missouri, signing books and talking about everything in the Dark Ozarks. And it's a free event, by the way.
Then, the night of November 19th, we'll be doing a tour and paranormal investigation of the Webb City Public Library.
Find all the details for the events at paranormalsciencelab.com. And now you can get Dark Ozarks t-shirts for sale at darkozarks.com and paranormalsciencelab.com.
Doing all of this, what really is scary, whether it's paranormal or not paranormal?
What makes a modern dark fairy tale, and how do you write it? Wait, you did write a modern dark fairy tale. Do tell.
So 2018, I published Plague Child's Doctor, my first fiction novel, not my first writing. I think that is important to note.
Yes.
I've been professionally writing for many, many years.
Yes.
And I had written a number of short fiction pieces. And interestingly enough, every short fiction piece, as I know you know, that I wrote always deals with folklore and in some way really, really dark subjects. And was finally, life challenged me to write a novel.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great because there was the challenge to write the novel. And then there was also actually enough time to write the novel, which had not happened for 10 years prior. And that was really a wonderful experience. The challenge came because I had been asked to teach a writing class, not the first writing class that I had taught, but this was specifically a novel writing class. And I looked around. First of all, I said, sure, sounds great. Second of all, I looked around and realized I hadn't actually written a novel. So what better time to start than as I was starting to teach the class? And it turned out really, really good. Just the experience was really good. Of course,
and the book turned out really good too.
I am very happy with it. Plague Child's Doctor is available on Amazon as well as other options as well, Barnes and Nobles. And imagine that it will be available at our upcoming book signing on November 19th, 2022 in Joplin.
That's right. At Always Buying Books in Joplin, Missouri, 2 to 4.
So it was a very fun experience. It was a lot of work. Writing is work. It's something that I know it's a craft that you and I are both very comfortable with. It is my preferred artistic medium, but that doesn't mean it's not effort.
That's true. For the shorter format, what did you find the hardest subject to deal with when writing a dark fairy tale?
The most difficult part for it is actually in the content. It is actually in the narrative. And it is part of creating the antagonist or the antagonist set. And I was racking my brain for what to do to create the villain, because narrative is all about conflict. You cannot have conflict without a villain.
Well, particularly in a fairy tale, you have to have a good villain for the story to drive forward and to make sense. So
I believe so. And so I was running down the list of things that the bad guys
Mm-hmm.
uh might be, the crimes the bad guys might be committing in order to make them bad. And
Mm-hmm.
I chose what I consider to be the most awful crime that someone can do, which is to harm children.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, making that decision was a decision that I chose very soberly, because I realized that as soon as I did that, we were no longer writing a junior adult or young adult or young or teenage fiction or children's fiction. I was now writing adult literature.
But, to be fair, traditionally, a lot of fairy tales deal with harming children.
This is very true. Very, very
And,
true.
and actually, a lot of the nursery rhymes and fairy tales we tell our very small children all are centered around harm or potential harm to children.
It is. And there, I did, I think it's veiled within layers. It's unlikely that someone who's reading it through the first time will pick up the narrative beats of a specific fairy tale. I won't necessarily name it here, but it's a little bit of a lesser known fairy tale, but it is a fairy tale collected by the Grimm brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And while the one I'm going to reference does not have the story beats specifically that I was drawing some inspiration from, the idea of Hansel and Gretel does actually come to mind in terms of brother and sister in peril.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have that in the book. The point that to answer your question, that was very difficult, was I wrote a scene of abuse, and it is told through a vision or a dream. There's enough
Mm-hmm.
ambiguity within it that it leaves the reader. It's up to the reader to decide, did this happen? Did it not? We do not specifically say in the book one way or the other. But I very, very, very specifically remember getting up in the morning, knowing that scene was what I was scheduled to write.
Right.
And I sat on the couch with my laptop for probably 40 minutes before I could write it.
I can understand that. Well, and that is definitely a tough one. I think what we'll do is we will flesh this out in much more detail, talk about your writing, talk about my writing, and
Yes.
dark writing in general in the long format, which, yes, if you're watching this live, we will be uploading here on YouTube tomorrow. So we welcome you to check out that video, other videos, and we appreciate you subscribing, following, clicking the bell, and getting notified.
Absolutely.